Everything here wants to kill you. This is obviously completely exposed, which is insanely dangerous, so that will take your arm off. These gears are very noshy, and they want to claim your fingers. The shuttles are traveling at about 43 miles an hour, roughly, and they go from standing still to 43 miles an hour in a fraction of a second. So if they were to come out, now we haven't had that for a while, they will pretty much take off from here, and assuming they don't hit anything on the way, they'll sort of land, I don't know, about 5 meters over there somewhere. So maybe not standing here is a good thing. The way I've laid the mill out is it's a long, thin process. So the yarn comes in at this end, and it will travel straight down to the other end, and then backwards to the door, so it goes out the door as cloth. When we buy the yarn in, it comes in on big cones like this. So the first job that we've got to do is we've got to break down all the yarn into smaller packages so we can put it all onto the creel. The cloth that we weave, in a width, there will be anything from 1,400 to 2,500 ends in a width. So how are you going to get all that yarn onto the back of the loom perfectly in the right order, in equal tension, so that when you come to weave it, it all comes off in equal tension? So what we use is a sectional warper. Take the yarn, hook it onto the first section, turn, put on our desired length, cut it, move it along, do the next section, the next section, and the next section until we've filled the entire width. So what you've got to take into account is that, say, 100 meters of cloth for our indigos, you might be looking at something like 150,000 meters of warp in a piece. So it's very important that we get this right. This is the old warp, this is the new warp. I'm now going to stand here and tie 2,500 individual knots, number 1 with number 1, number 2 with number 2, 300 with 300, 500 with 532, and make sure you get it right, and at the end, 1,500 with 1,500 or whatever. So stand there and do that. And it's a very special knot that we use because you've got to make sure that you maintain that tension. So when we come to pull it through, all the knots feed through nicely, you don't get too many breaks, and you can just carry on weaving. I was originally trained as a sewing machinist, and I did sewing machining for 8 years. We made anything from the loose covers for the sofas at the Palace through to outfits for Shetland ponies. We're currently weaving a union cloth, so this is an indigo warp. Now the indigo that we use is really good, it's really special. It's what's called rope dyed. A union cloth is where you've got cotton in the warp and wool in the weft. We're doing this as a little 8-shaft herringbone here, actually the same as the Lyle and Scott fabric. This is a Dobcross loom. This dates from the mid-40s. This has got a weaving space of 100 inches, that's 2.5 meters. We're currently weaving about 2 meters wide. This particular loom, this was the mainstay of British woolen manufacture for the best part of sort of nearly 100 years. This was obviously state-of-the-art in about 1940, but we have made certain upgrades. The most important thing is the introduction of the flux capacitor. This is said flux capacitor. Very, very complicated piece of stuff. What this measures, here we have the number of picks that we've done on this piece since we started, and then it measures per hour and per day. We've got our little timer here, which is very, very important. And this light, which doesn't really do anything. So we've got the Lyle and Scott fabric here on the loom at the moment, and I don't know if you can really see this, but it's incredibly open and it's incredibly coarse. So a huge part of making cloth is actually the finishing. I mean, we're just putting it together, but they're really taking it from what's called a web or just a raw product, and they're turning it into a completely viable fabric. So this is the sample that they've done, which is fab. And you can sort of see here that on the face, this has been what's called milled and scoured, but then on the back, we've actually had it raised, so it's really, really soft. Now this is this is a new fabric for us that we developed specifically for Lyle and Scott. So what we normally do is we weave with the 2-ply and the warp, and but what we've done here was actually put a much finer single ply in the weft, which has given it actually a much nicer handle. Now when this wears, you'll get all that white coming through because it's the rope dye, but it's not got that sort of horrible feel about it. And also we don't saffronize anything, because the biggest thing that we want to avoid here is just making something that is just another, just another denim, just another sort of product that, I mean, a lot of people come to us sort of saying, hey, can you make us a Japanese denim? And we sort of say, well, we could, but I'm not really that bothered. And that's what we loved about Lyle and Scott, is they came along and they sort of said, well, what are you up to? And we went, well, we're doing this. And they went, that's fab. This is why we really enjoyed working with them on that. The fact that these have been done completely within 10-mile radius, entirely in the UK, that's a fantastic tribute to what British manufacturing has become. And we really can do it here, and we can actually do it incredibly well. I mean...
Would you call it art?
No. What we do is not art, nor is it... I don't even see it as particularly creative. This is engineering. This is good.